Hi, this is a recording of some of my general fights in Arena, as well as a number of tips and tricks for dealing with this mode. I guess this is a pretty good mode to farm some gems, and it also helps both new or mid-level players, or even long-time players get the shards of a lot of characters. You wouldn't really get all the top-of-the-line characters, but you do get some characters here which are useful even to old players like Multiverse the Flash and Multiverse Supergirl, who are currently in the team being demonstrated here. These characters are still sought after and great in Arena as well as the new mode Invasions, and this is a good way of getting their shards, and I'm currently fighting a team with Nightmare Batman, who gives his team ambush passive, wherein I will be stunned for the first 3 seconds, and he also basically has a passive whereby he reflects basic damage done to him on basics. And you can only deal with him through specials, or like here I got Multiverse Armored Supergirl. I did her special 3 in this match, which gives both critical and a reflect immunity. So by doing that, it gives her entire multiverse team that reflect immunity for a short period of time. So by doing that, I've given my team a chance to not only attack him with specials, but basics as well. And okay, so currently that Martian Manhunter guy, yeah. Basically, oh yeah, just one more special and got rid of him. He had blocked my tag outs. He has an ability to block players from tagging out. So he had currently blocked me from tagging out, but that's fine. I think we have enough to get rid of this guy. And now I've gotten Multiverse the Flash and I use the free-to-play artifact called the God Killer to get rid of Raven along with his basic combos. So yeah, that's just one of the tactics at the start. So right now I basically used a free-to-play team with their relatively free-to-play artifacts and just use it to take out pretty much high-strength team, which is one of the strongest ones you get in the arena. And when you first start up, you wouldn't necessarily be facing teams that strong, but it's pretty good otherwise. And now this is done, so as I'll shortly get into what tips and tricks you need for arena, and what teams you should use and what you shouldn't. And so one of the teams you'd encounter is of course the League of Anarchy, and I'm sure you would have heard of them. They're quite popular, and they, help a lot in solo raids. Not many people use Laugh the Joker anymore, though he was quite popular initially, and even now there may be a way to use him as a damage dealer in raids, but he's quite good. And then of course Heartbreaker Harley Quinn and Entangling Poison Ivy, who you see as the last two you will shortly see in the opponent's team on the right. What are some of the key damage-dealing characters now when you deal with this team? If they start with Joker, and if you kill him, you'd end up getting stunned, or Joker has another passive whereby any of your team members who tag in could get stunned. And this team does high damage to stunned opponents along with DOT. So there are many ways to counter them here. What I've done is I've used the Batman Ninja team, including Batman, Ninja, Catwoman, whose shards are available by fighting this season of the arena. She gives her Batman Ninja team members an immortality buff where for a few times in the match, once your health reaches a certain level for a certain number of seconds, your character is immortal, which gives you a chance to recover some health or do some damage to finish the match. So one of the things in Arena is you need to look at team synergies, like that here I'm using the Batman Ninja team together. There are different characters in the Batman Ninja team, and I have deployed Batman, Ninja, Catwoman, Joker, and Batman. Ninja Batman, who's usually quite deadly, though I've given him a defensive free-to-play artifact for Arena, otherwise in raids he's quite a damage dealer. Here I have him the Cosmic Staff, which reflects damage and creates a protective reflective shield once the damage you receive reaches a certain level. I gave him that just in case, and so let's start this fight and let me just show it to you. The fight is loading and we'll start shortly. Should be very interesting to see how I go. Okay, so the opponent has started with the Joker, so if I kill him, I could get stunned. But what I've also done is, in addition to the immortality buff from Catwoman, I've given Joker the, kryptonite regeneration matrix so that he'll revive here again. And the moment Joker tags out, I've tagged in somebody else because sometimes if the Joker is around he might stun people on tag in. And here I've basically managed to counter him with the free-to-play reflect artifact, and as you will see, after I killed him, I got stunned, but then the immortal buffs given by a Catwoman helped me to basically stay active and then finish off the match. So this was one of the tactics of dealing with the team, and there are different other tactics, but I tried using the free-to-play artifacts, but on the pay-to-play side there are also many things. But bear in mind you don't need to pay money for this game. Like, it may occasionally help you level up characters a bit more, but even if you pay, you'd still need to spend the same amount of effort, and it could give you access to a few extra things, but barring the beta club, most of the best artifacts are free to play, and there still are people who, one-shot bosses at the highest raid levels, which is one of the key modes of this game, like the League raids. You don't need beta club to finish that, and even for solo raids there are people who can easily one-shot at least 5 bosses in every 6 pips. Without beta club, the key artifacts for Arena, which could be useful for raid as well, are free to play. I will shortly give you an example. There are a number of artifacts available from raid drops and otherwise, and some of them are quite useful for Arena. Firstly, you get a key raid-specific artifact after completing normal mode in each tier of a solo raid. Secondly, through both League raids and solo raid tiers, you win a range of Azure artifacts that I will comment on shortly. Like here, the first one is this one, the Twin Blades. You get it by completing the normal mode of the Taste of Evil raid. The one where that Constantine dude is a final boss or something, and I would recommend you get this because you need to use this with some armor pierce rolls, and it gives you not only additional armor pierce damage on basic and swipe attacks, but it helps you damage the tagged out opponents because you can choose 1 to 3 character, either anywhere from 1 to 3 characters to fight in Arena. But you will be fighting against 3 characters, so the ability to do tagged out damage is critical, and most importantly, by using the Twin Blades this helps you destroy all shields and barriers, particularly the barrier created by Darkseid or Collector of Worlds Superman Reflective Shield. So there are other ways of dealing with those shields as well, but as a new player or a mid-level player, you may not have all the characters who have the ability to deal with them via specials. If you get the Batman who laughs, but he may or may not like. If you look up the tier lists developed by Sigwald the Grim, I'm not sure whether he's a priority front up when you're building the account, but he has a special too, which is deadly in the Arena. It can break through all shields and barriers. If you can get this guy for the Arena, it's great because his special 2 can break all those barriers, all shields and barriers, and I said break through those barriers, maybe break through the barrier of whatever the AI opponent or thing is. And another character which you can get, but which is not a priority to get. But if you already have it, is Golden Armor Wonder Woman, whose special 1 can also break through shields. But these are all shields and barriers, excluding personal reflective shields, like where might characters like Gorilla Grodd and Superman have a special tool which gives them a reflective feel that may not be pierced by this, but all other shields and barriers like Collector of Worlds Shield and the barriers created by Darkseid, they can be pierced through Twin Blade. And the other important artifact for you which is available from the raid which is going on currently, and this is magic, and I hope you've got it, is Zatanna's Puppet. So this gives you the ability to apply up to 4 negative effects of 4 to 5 negative effects at a time. And this include burns, special attacks, disable blind, tag out, disabled, and the 5th one. Incoming damage increase is quite useful because having at least 2 or 3 of those 5th, which is particularly useful in other game modes wherein you can have Puppet on a support character and use it to boost the damage of a damage dealer using something else. And in some cases you can even have a Puppet wearer being a damage dealer in the Invasions mode and in Arena. So this is another good artifact for you to get, and it's pretty free. And then another basic artifact that you'd need, for the Arena as well, which is available for free by completing I think the Dark Knights raid, is the Dark Metal card. So this Dark Metal cards increases your critical attack damage, and it creates a zone where you have a high likelihood of ignoring critical attack immunity and doing more critical attack damage. So that's another useful artifact to have, not only in raids but for the Arena game mode as well. There is also an artifact called Nora's Snow Globe which helps you recover health on specials and creates 2 clones of yourself if you take maximum damage, and it was demonstrated on Last Laugh the Joker in the League of Anarchy fight I had shown. This is useful for both Arena and Invasions. So basically, in the final artifact to get is God Killer, which helps you steal the opponent's attack and defense and reduce the ability to block. So with certain Flash characters you can do an infinite combo, and some people on their devices can do an infinite combo with Batwoman the Drowned as well. So this is available from completing the last contract raid, and some people say the next raid might be the Ancient Judgment, and if that is the case, in that raid you will get a free artifact called the Crown of Kondak, which is useful for boosting damage, and it is a good alternate to Dark Metal cards on characters such as Heartbreaker Harley Quinn, and can also be used on Batwoman who drowned. So this is another free artifact which you can get by completing the normal mode of the raids. So those are some of the key artifacts for Arena, and other than that, by completing raids you may win other artifacts as well. And as a new player, you will also win a lot of. The Azure artifacts, which are not raid-specific ones like the NTH Metal Armor, which increases your health, and in my demo you also saw me use a Cosmic Staff, which basically reflects damage, creates a reflective shield, and then you've got the Claw of Horus, which increases attack. So these Azure artifacts might not be as useful as the first few ones. Raid-specific ones that I showed you in other modes, but for the Arena they are quite useful still, and the rest of these are, and then you also get class-specific artifacts like Agility or, Arcane and others which can be equipped on characters of those classes. So those are pretty useful. But from the Arena point of view, I guess as a new player, you'd start with the class-specific Azure artifacts Metahuman, which boost your healing, or Tech, which gives you additional health and attack against certain classes. And then you'd get the Claw of Horus, which gives you additional attack, and the Cosmic Staff, which gives you reflective shield. So these should drop from free by completing raid tiers, or by completing solo raid tiers, or by participating in a league. So that's some of the, free artifacts, and then you have to use those key free artifacts from some of the key raids which are displayed, which are Dark Metal cards, God Killer, and Puppet, which will be useful for you in all game modes and Twin Blades. And other than that, you'd also win the Kryptonian Regeneration Matrix for free from raids, which helps you revive as I demonstrated. So that's in terms of the artifacts. Now in terms of the other team selection, somebody asked me a question. You need to look at synergies, like I've used the Batman Ninja theme together because Catwoman gives them immortality, or Catwoman has a free special on block, and when you use Batman Ninja Joker, he revives your team members 1 or 2 times if the opponent has a Batman team, so that is one synergy. Or you can use let's say the League of Anarchy team who we fought in the demo together. They're quite useful because they boost each other's damage on time, damage, and damage they do to stun targets. So that is there, and then another. And then we use the Multiverse team together because the more the number of Multiverse team members, the more the free power you get. So that way you can do theme-based team synergies, or even like Justice League Dark. Not many new players would have it, but use Elder Swamp Thing and Zatanna and John Constantine together, because then Zatanna does percentage health reduction, which to a limited extent her team members can as well. And Swamp Thing can heal his entire team, not just Justice League Dark, and John Constantine gets some extra damage based on Justice League team member use. So that's one team synergy, and then of course you can use the Justice League team. They're pretty good. Another important thing to note is what level you want to aim for Arena. Older players may not need too many fights to reach the highest tier or legendary, or at least get invincible or untouchable. Mid-level players may need some effort to reach invincible and above. However, note that while the gems rewarded obviously increase right from Challenger I up to Legendary, just achieving Elite I gets you enough shards to unlock a 3-star Arena character, and just reaching Elite 4 gets you 360 shards, which can unlock a 4-star character. Above Elite 4, the number of shard awarded don't really increase. So new players should aim for Competitor 4 or Elite I just above it, and older players can stop at Untouchable if they need to. For the Arena, so this one, Justice League. Aquaman gives all of his team members armor, pierce, and then you've got the Flash, who makes his team members' first attack unblockable, and then most critically, you've got Justice League Cyborg, who gives his team members 300% more damage. Now, the other thing is that as a new player you need to avoid certain teams, or you need to figure out your strengths, because sometimes you find that your 100,000 threat team can beat 200,000 team, but sometimes your 100,000 threat team may not be able to beat over 80,000 threat teams. So you've got to experiment and find out which characters suit you or don't. So as a new player, I would normally avoid Darkseid until you get either the Twin Blades, or the characters who can break through barriers, or you're facing a weak Darkseid whose bombardment don't affect you. So that is one thing. And I'd also avoid really strong League of Anarchy teams until you have characters who can basically absorb the damage. So that is one aspect. And yep, I'll just continue with some more tips in part 2.